Why, hello there, little YouTube users thingamajigs. What has it been like? 2 years! 2 whole years since I've used this channel! And that's probably because the channel's kinda bad. And I haven't really had the need to rant on anything. But we are going to revisit something of a very good episode. Uh, for those of you who remember what I did, I grabbed my case. This case, Batman Robin. By the way, that's a movie I really like. Essentially, that's it. And I have this case completely broken, including the little things in there that hold the DVDs. So the DVDs are probably already fucked up. This is the special edition because I wanted to waste money on that. By the way, that back there is the Red Hood that belongs to the Red Hood in the comics because Batman. Yeah, that is Batman. And today we have something new to review. If you've read the title of the review, then you have no problem in identifying this. It's Batman Forever. Special edition, by the way, because I'm a man who enjoys DVDs. And I should have done this first, actually, before Batman and Robin, because this is where it went downhill. Batman and Robin's when you entered hell, so it's not really even close to the same thing if we're gonna analyze it, but it's very awful, indeed. Um, Essentially, movie starts off, Two-Face robbing a bank, because that's what he does, and see, I mean, you could have done so much! No, let's start off with our favorite supervillain robbing a bank, because that's what supervillains do. And I'm like, did you really not have any animals that he could be threatening in the zoo, or a factory that he could be attacking? Nothing? No! Robbing banks. That's how we roll. But let's ignore the robbing banks joke, because that's going to come in handy later. No, he was robbing a bank. He gets a guy who just happens to have trouble listening and be obese, and he's going to throw him into a I don't know what it is. I never saw any safes like that, but apparently it's a safe, and he pulls it out and he's swinging that shit. And Batman's trapped in there with him. Because what you do when you want to put a person in danger, in a death trap, is put him in there with Batman, because he's certainly not going to get himself out of there. I mean, what are you talking about, man? What? That's how it works, apparently. Batman grabs the guy's hearing aid and gets out, because that's also how it works. That's how you crack a safe. You get a hearing aid and you just that doesn't work like that. You could have used a little laser or something to blow it up. No, you were stupid because you're Batman. Christopher Nolan aside, I don't believe I just said that. Gets out. There's this little girl, woman, Nicole Kidman, Pickman, that says, "No, you're sexy. I like rubber. I have a rubber fetish," and she is gonna be our little thingamajig that Batman's gonna dig, because every single Batman movie has to have romance in it. I don't know, but it's a very important part of the character. And there it is. Nicole Kidman, new in town, psychiatrist, wants to study the bat. That's okay. But then meets up with him, uses the bat signal in the sky, calls Batman. And what does she do? She looks at the Batman and says, rubber nipples. And he's all like, okay, what do you want? You're sexy. And she's all like, hey, Val, honey, before you get obese, you want to have sex? And he's all like, what? And she's all like, thingamajig, if I dress up as Catwoman, will you do it? That's a line I really didn't like. Because Why? Sorry, I'm gonna have a drink of water because that's professionalism. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, we understand that this was directed by Joel Schumacher, not Tim Burton. But are you so desperate to join both that you're gonna make an allusion to a character that died in a previous movie by saying, if I dress like her, will you have sex with me? That's not how you do stuff. That apart, Bruce Wayne also starts to fancy the little woman because she likes the bat. But she's in love with the bat, not the Bruce. And so the little Bruce man, what, asks to invite her to the circus, Flying Grayson's charity thingamajig. And now Two-Face does something intelligent, but there's a little problem. Two-Face decides to attack the circus. He wants $2 billion. I think it's 2 billion, I'm not sure. And so he attacks the circus. Here's a stick up, give me money, or tell me who Batman is, because I'm Darby the Two-Faces. So do it, or you will be attacked and die, because I'm Two-Faces. And he just goes ahead and puts a bomb in there, and wait, what's that in the sky? It's a man, a woman, a little boy, and Chris O'Donnell, and they're wearing tight spandex, and I can totally make out Chris O'Donnell's balls. And they save the day, and Chris O'Donnell pushes the bomb, but his family died. And so Bruce, man, who tried to say was the bad boy, feels guilty and takes him in. But before that, I skipped a little part. There's a guy who works for Wayne Corp who doesn't like working because he makes the crazy experiments and his boss doesn't like it, and that's the Riddler. You should know that. And then this heady guy, who's the Riddler, by the way, secret, decides to watch TV, and he sees Two-Face, and he's like, he's a supervillain. This is fun. And so he's all like, shit, I'm gonna be a supervillain. And so he makes a very gay costume. Actually, he makes like 5 or 6 because he wears a bunch of different costumes during the movie. I think Joel Schumacher couldn't decide what was gay enough for the movie, so he decided to go with all of them. I sometimes wonder, what are we doing in Splatin? Because that's so much dedication for a man to, instead of 1 or 2, make 6 different costumes because he's not sure any of them is gay enough. Joe, you my bro. Except not at all, because your movies are all terrible. Yeah. But he becomes the Riddler guy. Yeah. And the Two-Face is the Riddler, and the Riddler helps the Two-Faces, and meanwhile Chris O'Donnell decides that he's more than an acrobat and decides to try to pick up Alfred, I guess, because he just starts cleaning his clothes all sexy like, and I don't get it. I mean, I understand if the director is gay. I understand if the director likes bum sex. Don't start including allusions to bum sex in my movies, please. The audience doesn't need to know what you like. Although you are the one who's expressing himself, you're being paid to do this. You're being paid to do X. If you add bum sex to X, it's bum sex. That's not what you were paid to do. Okay? Okay. And then he goes all crazy bananas and jumps out of the stairs and gets in the Batcave, I don't know. And he says, no, and he takes the car out for a joyride because that's how you become the Batman sidekick. You take his car for a joyride. Everybody does that. I mean, seriously. What are you, dumb? And he takes the car out, and things happen, and he's attacked. And he says, "Hey, girls, I'm Batman." And I'm like, okay. And then Batman goes get him and takes him back, and he says, "No, let me be Nightwing." And I'm all like, that would be cool. And he says, "No, because you're not ready. After vengeance, what? You're just gonna keep killing people?" And I'm all like, "Bruce, you little bastard!" But it makes sense. Don't take me wrong. That shit makes sense. But because that's one of the main conflicts about Batman himself, and I like that they explore that. However, we only see Robin when the world's ending. Because now the Eddie boy, Riddler, don't tell anyone, but he's Riddler, decides, I'm going to make my own company and he's going to be famous. This the subplot during the entire movie. And now he's famous and everybody has these little things on their TVs that feed 3D images into their minds but sucks out their knowledge. Sorry, that was a burp. Sucks out their knowledge. And he uses this little gay helmet that he sometimes passes around to Two-Face because it's like drugs, I guess. Uh, because it makes him smarter and his brain grows. And then Batman and Robin go out because Alfred decided to make a suit for Robin. I don't get it. And he added nipples. Alfred, you little sick fuck. And they go out their rubber suits in a boat and jet because fucking awesome. And Batman's all like, "Yeah, Commissioner," and the Commissioner's all like, "Go, go, go," and I'm all like, "Yeah, shit, the movie's getting good." And then that scene lasts like 3-4 minutes, and it's essentially Two-Face and the Riddler. Get prepare for yourself. Playing Battleship, and the Riddler says one of the most dramatic things Jim Carrey's ever said in his whole life. "You sunk my battleship!" And I'm all like, shit, Negro. Why you do that? Why? But they are all having a lot of fun. And then Batman thinks he's a part. Oh, I forgot to mention, before they go out to get the Riddler enters the house during Halloween with Two-Face and blows up the Batcave. That's an important part, because that's why they used the gay little suit, the sonar suit. That's why I took out the sonar suit. I almost forgot the sonar suit. Which, by the way, was a lame excuse to make more toys. And things happen, they fight, and when Two-Face tosses his coin in the air, Batman sends a whole bunch of other coins, and Two-Face falls to his death, I guess. Oh, before that, when they're entering the little island thing, you should be watching the movie while I say this, because otherwise you're not going to get a lot of what I'm saying. Because, as in, what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to watch this rant, you're going to have to watch the movie, because I don't make a lot of sense. They have a little allusion to the 66 show uh, when uh, when Robin says, "Holy metal rocks," Batman or something like that. Oh, holy metal ground. What did you just say? This ground is made of metal, full of holes. You know, holy. I'm all like, you have my attention. And then they do the thing and toss the coin in the air, and they didn't go anywhere with the joke. But he tossed the coin in the air, and then he catches the Riddler, and the Riddler's brain is all like, "What the fucky?" It looks like a cartoon. Actually, that's I'm gonna take something from Nostalgic Riff's reviewer for this little piece of shit here and say they stole the sound effects from Tom and Jerry. Ha ha ha. And uh, he dies, I guess, but he doesn't really die. And the movie ends, and Batman fucks the girl, I guess, because we don't see her again. That's what Batman does. And Robin does nothing during the entire movie except be a nuisance, and when he tries to help, he ends up being more of a nuisance, and he's actually kidnapped by the Riddler, which is awesome, and he doesn't really beat anyone up in this movie except for some street thugs before he's even Robin. Makes sense. And and then they visit Riddler in the asylum, and they ask him, Riddler, who's that Batman? And he's all like, I'm the Batman! And I'm all like, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, ladies and gentlemen. No. Mm-mm. I ain't doing this. I'm not. Jim Carrey, I like your stuff. I liked your stuff. I still do. I am not looking at the camera. I'm looking at my preview. But Jim, Jim, you cannot expect to get away with that because that's really lame and it's kind of shitty. And I don't like that because it's lame and shitty, like I just said. Yeah. And what the fuck? This movie. I mean, you can watch it for the shits and giggles. It's perfectly good for a shits and giggles movie. It's not really quite like I'm Mr. White Christmas, I'm Mr. Snow, but it's close. However, ladies and gentlemen, you can try to make up the efforts to take this shit seriously. I swear to God, you won't be able to. And this movie is the reason why Tim Burton didn't make a fuss about having his credit in this movie. Because even though this movie was a very big hit and grossed a lot of money and I don't know, sold a lot of toys because that's what the movie was made for essentially, it was still bad. It's not comparable to Batman or Batman Returns. No one can even try to do that. And they say it's in the same universe, but I prefer to think it's not. Because it's not about the Batman changing. It's not about any of that. It's about, first off, Batman killed a lot of characters in the other movies. In this one he says you shouldn't kill people and that he's never killed anyone. Worse, Batman. However, I agree that this is the more comic Batman, as in comic, as in based on the comics, because Burton, unfortunately, didn't really base himself a lot on the comics, starting with the moment when he killed the Joker. This Batman is a lot more lighthearted. And I think in one of the extras in this or that DVD, they compare the Batman movies to the comics, the eras in the comics. And this is definitely the 1980s or 1990s or 1960s, in between that age. Because this was, no, actually scratch the 90s. This is 1960s through 1980s. Because this is when the Batman was jolly. And I understand, because this is really good, because Batman can have fun, but that's mostly from his enemies and Robin. He himself doesn't really crack jokes, although he smiles, and Batman smiling is something that's not really common, although it was during that time. This was not a bad Batman movie. I'm ranting on it because I find it as an awful movie. As a movie. As a Batman movie, kind of solid, to be perfectly honest. Let's not compare against Christopher Nolan, because Christopher Nolan did a very, very realistic take on Batman, what Batman would actually be like. This, on the other hand, is a comic. This is a comic made into a movie, made into a DVD with special features. This is what Batman was in the comics. This is good to a certain extent. But the overacting and all the gay bullshit that Joel Schumacher tried to pull, that's bad. That's really bad. But the movie itself is bearable. And if you don't compare it to any other Batman movie made before and after, it's actually pretty good. And that's why it's one of my favorites. But I'm ranting on it because I also hate it at the same time. It's kind of like There's a proper phrase for that, or proper word for that, but I can't really remember. An expression. Something that you know you should hate, but you actually love. I don't say I love this movie because I don't really love this movie, but it's pretty solid. Then we get this piece of shit. This putrid sack of bullcrap. Where they decided to change Val Kilmer, which was one of my favorite Batmans, and actually pulled it off better than Michael Keaton, my opinion. And they changed him by with George Clooney because he was in ER at the time. He was very sexy and the women loved him. And then we get that piece of shit movie after this that was made solely for toys. Unlike this one was just they just grabbed that shit solely for toys because they wanted to make a movie with toys in it. Toyetic, as Joel Schumacher pointed out, based on homosexuality, which I don't really get. I mean, the nipples, okay, but making shots centered on the butt of Batman, I can tolerate a lot. Don't shove Batman's butt in my face, please. Uh, then we have Schumacher playing fucking Mr. Freeze. What was that? And we have Poison Ivy, played by the chick from Pulp Fiction. Okay. We have Alicia Silverstone, who's supposedly British but has no accent, and is supposedly related to Alfred, although she's supposed to be Barbara Gordon. No, we're not gonna have a Commissioner Abigail. No, she's gonna be Alfred's something. I don't know, cousin, maybe. That makes sense. Why? I don't know. They wanted it. Simple as that. And that's how Joel Schumacher fucks up a movie. However, this he didn't try to fuck up, and this ended up being good. With that said, this is Henry, and it was what you've just seen was Rant. Thank you for watching, and maybe I'll post more videos if I want. I don't know. Bye, I guess. Oh, by the way, if you speak Portuguese and you like Let's Playing and stuff, I have a channel where I post my Let's Plays. However, currently we're on hiatus because I don't really know what to play next. Thank you, and good night.